All right, thank you.
Do you guys want to start with a prayer?
Sure.
Does anybody want to lead it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Our loving Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for thy gospel, for all thy many blessings. We thank you that we're able to connect via technology and to finally be able to get it to work, and pray that we'll be able to help one another and accomplish the things that we need to. And pray thy blessing over all those who have been affected by the storms or are sick or struggling. And for these things in Jesus Christ, amen.
Thanks, Jackie. So this is our first HOA. It is week 2, lesson 2, and it's on the statistic process and design of studies. So, did any of you have any problems? Did you any things that you want to talk about that maybe you didn't understand as well, like regarding the how sampling is done? Was everybody really clear on sampling? I know personally I saw the stratified sampling and the cluster sampling were very close together, and sometimes, both of you feel comfortable with those two?
Yeah, I had to really work on them, but I think I finally have it down. How about you, Olivia?
Yeah, same. Those were the two that were the most similar. It's kind of hard to distinguish, but I think I get it. I felt like that example that was given in the video about randomly choosing the apartment, like the apartment one. Do you remember that, where it talked about choosing the apartments and then everybody in that apartment that was clustered versus choosing randomly from people who have been grouped, stratified. Anyway, I thought that was a clarifying example. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is that it takes all of them. Once you've randomly chosen it, it's all of them. Whereas the stratified, then you take the sample from the groups that you chose with the stratified.
Right. How about the whole, what is it? The 5 steps process? I think that was pretty easy. The Daniel King Stern More Truth.
Yeah.
I think that was, I didn't have any problem with that. How about you guys?
No, that one was fine for me too. I mean, it's a little bit different to pick it apart backwards on an example, but I didn't think that one was difficult. I was kind of confused on the null and alternative hypothesis. I don't know why the wording just was weird to me, and just as I read it in the text, I'm like, English, I need English.
I did have a question about that one that I wrote down, and that was, is the alternative hypothesis the opposite of the null hypothesis? Because the example we were given, it was the opposite, right? If in the auditing example, either the audit was true or it was false, and the true was the null and the false was the alternative. So I was wondering, is the alternative hypothesis always going to be the opposite, or kind of?
I don't know that opposite is the right term for it, Olivia.
False. It's false, right?
False. Opposite sort of denotes something like black versus white, where an alternative hypothesis could be red or gray or green. Mm-hmm. It's something that just proves that it's not white. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Actually helps me too.
I found hard to understand about this whole, that I always get confused on, my mind doesn't work well on it, versus the null and the alternative, is the p-value. Like, I read that thing over and over again, and I still think it should be the opposite of what it's saying to me. Did anybody else have trouble with that?
Well, I felt like, I mean, that the p-value is just saying whether, the probability of if it's correct or not, but then picking it apart beyond that.
Well, did you read about like how it's in a percent and how large or small the percent is?
Yes.
I found that confusing.
I think the thing that made it a little confusing is that they didn't talk to us about how to find the p-value, but they were talking about what the p-value does. And so I think once we're taught how to calculate a p-value, it'll make a little bit more sense, because, and they also talked about like if it's small versus if it's large, but they don't talk about where that percentage where that line is. Like, you know how if you're talking about probabilities, anything over 50 or under 50, right? Is that exactly the same for a p-value? You know, they didn't talk about that. So I think maybe once we study the p-value a little bit deeper, it'll make more sense. At least that's my hope. Because just defining it without learning it,
Yeah, I mean the words they use, you know, is it as extreme or more extreme than the information observed? And it seems to me like if it's more extreme, like I don't like that word, like if it's more of what you thought, then the hypothesis is true. Where
Yeah, well,
less of what they gave about like errors in the accounts receivable. So if there are more errors, then the hypothesis was true. But to me, it should. My mind thinks like it should be less errors than the hypothesis is true, than the null hypothesis.
yes. Yeah, because it gave the example of like 0.79 is a large number, and so that, what did that show? I'm trying to look at the notes here again too.
But 0.79 would mean 70%, right? So that would be high. That's a high percentage. But I think the term null, even though it's supposed to be like the term null is a poor term. Null, you know, if something's null, it's like, you know, a void point. It's not, right? But we're trying to prove that the null thing is correct or incorrect. You know what I mean? It's like a weird, poor wording. Whoever chose that.
Yeah. There's a lot of formulas in statistics. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to all of
them. So we're just getting going. Okay.
All right. So what we have to do while we're here is, sorry. Is there anything else that you guys read or saw or felt that you know you wanted more explanation on and wanted to discuss? Are you okay with the difference between quantitative and categorical variables?
Yeah.
Okay. Because while we're here, we have to take the test, quiz, and I think discuss the quiz.
Okay. Can we do it?
So you want to go do that?
Yep.
All right. Then I'm going to mute, and I'll be back to you guys in a few minutes. Do we we have 2 attempts to take the quiz. So do you want to take it once and then come back and talk about it?
Or aren't we supposed to do it together? Isn't that the?
There's a group quiz. There's a group quiz, and in his little podcast, it said that we have 2 tries. The second try can be individually.
Yeah, so I think we're supposed to just do it together, like on the video.
Okay.
Like,
open it individually while in the meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I have in my notes.
Yeah, it was like my question on the question and answers from last week. And I asked, you know, do we do this together? Do we do it individually? And he said that we just do it, we each open it up individually, but do it together.
Okay, and then the second one after we're off the phone, then we can try it again ourselves. Yeah, if we want.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, my notes contradict each other. Anyways, all right, so let's pull it up and see. Find it.
I'm gonna go run and grab his pinky.
Okay, so I'm guessing it's untimed.
Hopefully. Yeah, I don't see anything that says time. I haven't opened it yet, but I've got it pulled up.
Yeah. Okay, so do we want to start it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll hit the start quiz button then.
I mean, the first one is just for our individual. Did we complete the thing before attending the group? So just answer whether that's true or false. We participated in.
Mine still isn't up yet. Give me a second, guys.
Oh, sorry.
I must have a lot open on my computer over there. Okay. Yeah. And the second one. I say we definitely all participated in this group meeting, or we never would have gotten it on.
Yeah, so, okay, so question 3. Researchers would like to determine if reviewing material consistently within an hour after class helps students perform better on exams than if students wait to review material the day before the exam. To answer this question, the researchers are trying to determine if an observational study or an experiment would be more appropriate. They are discussing who the population would be and how they would determine the sampling method. Which sampling method will best represent the population? Which of the 5 steps of the statistical process are the researchers applying? Design the study.
I would say.
We agree with design the study as the answer for that question.
Sorry, I was getting feedback during my thing, and it was not coming up for me. So I just got it up. I'm on number 3. Let me read it one more time. And
okay.
So which of the 5 steps are they trying to apply?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if they're still trying to determine which kind of study and who the population, yeah, they're still designing it.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that, Cheryl?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but it's easier for me to understand what the question is if I read it myself rather than hearing it read out loud.
Okay.
If we want, we can just do it on our own and just discuss it in a minute. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay. So we'll just go through them, and I read slow. So
are we going to go through all of them or one at a time?
Let's just do the whole thing and we'll come back together and talk about it. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
gonna go lay him down for a nap. I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm done too.
Who said they were done?
I'm still working on it. I think Olivia was done. Okay. Sorry, guys. Get back in the right frame of mind. Okay, I think I finally have mine. I wish I could. I don't know why I can't even get you guys on split screen, so I'm trying to see my test and see y'all. And... Okay. So we just wanted to start with, we did 3, design the study. Is Cheryl still going?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're on step 4, but we're reading step 3.
So question 4 to the 5 steps. She's still describing the data.
Does do one of you want to share your screen so we can just look at them all at the same time? And
Yeah, I will.
okay.
That'd be easier.
Okay, so question 4, we describe the data because she's talking about, she creates a histogram to help illustrate the overall distribution. Did everyone get that?
That's what I
have.
Okay. Question 5 is about Mumbai. It's asking what the population is. I did the citizens of Mumbai as the population.
I don't think that's right.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure on that one, because is it just the sample that you took of the citizens of Mumbai? Is that what you're thinking, Cheryl? Or is it, because
No.
it's not actually all the citizens?
Okay, did you guys take the homework quiz?
Yes.
Okay, so in question number 9 of the homework quiz, it has a similar thing. Okay, so each presidential election, many different groups want to know how popular each candidate is among the electorate. In the recent election, one marketing research firm was asked by a special interest group to help estimate the portion of Americans who supported a particular candidate. From the list of all registered voters, 8,000 names were randomly selected. And that says an automated phone call was made to each, blah, 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 blah. Marketing received 299 response. It asked the population for this study is. The population for this study is all registered voters in the U.S., not the American population. So reading this one, how I'm reading it, I think it should be the list of all registered voters. That's the population you're drawing from. And it doesn't offer you that choice.
A list of registered taxpayers. So from the list of the taxpayers, that many names are randomly selected. So it should be.
Yeah, so it should be the tax. It should be the
taxpayers.
That's not an option. And so I think that what they're getting at here is the next best option here would be the citizens of Mumbai, assuming that those who are the citizens of Mumbai are taxpayers, right? Because it's not, because this one here, the 1,049, that's the sample. Those are those who have replied. So I guess we could say that it can't be determined.
That's what I said.
I think the answer might be that is the citizens. Because the next question asks what the sample is, and that would be the 1,000 who responded. Correct?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure on that one. And when you said the homework, I was thinking you were just talking about the homework. I haven't taken that homework quiz yet, so I am not. I'm not sure. I'll make a note and try to just look that one up more. Question 5.
Okay.
All right.
Olivia, I have mine as undetermined, and you have yours as the people of Mumbai. So we'll let you put yours in first and see if you get any wrong.
We can do that. Because I think you're right.
I put mine as the population, or as the sample.
Could be the registered taxpayers, but that's just not an option. So.
Yeah.
The thing is it's just that they made a mistake on the question.
Yeah.
It will not be the first time where something wasn't right.
Yeah, no, I've had that actually quite a few times where there's been errors in my test. So it happens. Okay.
So question 6 asks what the sample is, and that would be the people who responded.
Yeah.
And then question 7 is when we're getting into that retention of classroom material question. And it's what type of data is your teacher collecting?
So it was the teacher gave the short 10-question quiz where your score out of 10 is recorded. So is that quantitative because they're trying to do how many you got correct?
Yes.
Your score out of 10?
I do believe that would be quantitative.
That's what I had as quantitative.
That's what you think too? Okay.
Because I think it's a number that you can do something with.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
You can get percentages out of it, you can get a bell curve out of it. So to me, that means quantitative.
Yeah.
Question 8 is the same, except it's after the 6th day, your teacher asks you if you feel confident that you've retained at least 50, and you record your response as yes, no, or not sure. And I think that would be categorical.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a subject to an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Same thing. And then he selects a group to give no review to over the material, and this group would be called the control group.
Control group, yeah.
And then which of the following would be considered an experimental design?
That would be the vaccination and the placebo, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Average wage of working people by the best sample would be, I said, randomly selected workers in each of the several working districts.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. Okay, and the experimental subjects, that's the children, right? That was straight from our
Yeah. Make sure we actually
something
read it.
question.
Yeah. What are the treatments? The vaccine, placebo. Question
Mhm.
13.
14.
14. Oh yeah, actually, I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, that one I wasn't sure about either.
Oh, I thought it was an experiment because they actually did something.
Yeah, I said it was an experiment as well.
I said it was an
So-
observational study, because how exactly are you measuring, except by observation, whether or not their poverty level was reduced? I mean,
They are observing, but the definition of an observational study is that you're not trying to change the current situation that people are already in. But here they're taking people and putting them into a new neighborhood, and they also have a control group. And so because they're changing variables, that is the definition of a designed experiment. Right? And that's why I chose that.
okay.
I agree. And my notes too, just as far as experiment, I just said, you know, to keep it simple, they apply a treatment and then they observe the effects. And so that's what's happened. They applied a treatment, they gave them vouchers, they moved them, they did different things, and then they watched to see what happened. So observation, they just simply come in and watch.
But I do think that's something we have to be careful about going forward and like on the tests and stuff, is because that phrase observational study, I think that can kind of trip me up, because if it's something that's just generally observed like this, my first thought is, oh, observational. You know what I mean? But you have to be careful about like whether they're controlling variables or not.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
it,
yeah,
it really
look to
doesn't.
see.
It doesn't tell you what data they're collecting. And that's what made me feel it was observational, because there's nothing that specifically says what data are they collecting. Are they deciding that people are able to buy a nicer car, or they have a healthier diet, or that their children do better educationally? Like what are their what is their theory, their hypothesis that would show that the poverty level, that they did better, so that moving out of a poorer neighborhood got you out of poverty?
Mm-hmm.
It was,
That to me, like, there's nothing that tells me what the criteria are for any data that's collecting. So that's why I didn't think it was experimental. What's the data they're collecting?
okay, so I'm just trying to reread it because, so they says supported a study that was run for 15 years where the families were given a chance to move to less impoverished areas. So they're looking to see what happens to them if they are taken out of poverty. They gave them vouchers. They provided various support systems. The key to me, but the key to me is they applied a treatment and they observed the effects. Because I thought observation, you just simply, I mean, give me an example of one of the observational ones. Because that, you just are looking, you're studying the characteristics
You're
of
right,
what's
Jeff.
going on in a group, but no attempts made to modify. I feel like there's modifying going on here.
Yeah.
There is. I'm not sure observation is always not modification, because I could,
Well, that's what when I compared my notes to the key for the homework one, that's what it said. No attempt is made to modify them.
Yeah, I think that's the definition of the observational study.
So
They
you
do
can go back and check
observational.
your key, but that's what I wrote in my notes when I went back and checked my answers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because the thing is that both types of studies are collecting data. An observational study still collects data, an experimental study still collects data. It's just how that data is collected is whether it's observational or experimental.
Right. We don't know how it's collected because they haven't told us.
But we do know how it's collected.
And I thought
because they're putting them into 3 different groups. They're taking people out of the situation they're in, and they're putting them into 3 different groups, and that's how they're collecting the data. If they watch how people are moving through those groups, we're just going to watch them in their life and see which people come out of poverty and which ones don't. That would be observational because they're just kind of watching how they go throughout their life. But the fact that they put them into different groups and they're changing their situation, that makes it experimental.
And for me, I thought that, again, the key difference between the two is one is, I mean, they're both observation, they're both observing effects, but one is about if they've made any modifications or tried to apply any kind of treatment. And that's when you know it's experiment. That's what my notes say. So we'll see. We'll see what we get.
We'll see when Olivia posts her thing, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I'll submit it first and we'll see. Okay. And then the last question is just matching the steps.
Yeah. So step 1 was the
design.
Yeah.
This was a lot of words. It was kind of tripped me up just because of all the words and numbers.
I'm like,
I just took the letters.
Yeah. 3, 1, 4, 5.
D for design.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So excellent. So should we all submit it and see what we got?
Here, I'll submit mine and then I'll make
the guinea pig.
I'll submit mine first and you guys can see what it says here. Submit. Yes, submit quiz. Okay, so the first, those were the ones for just the quiz. Okay, so we got the first one correct. Question 4, correct. 5 was the citizens of Mumbai as the population.
Okay.
6 correct, 7 correct, 8 correct, 9 correct. 11, 12, 14.
So what about our experiment?
Yeah, we got
at the bottom there.
Experiment, not observational there. 14 is experiment. Is that correct? Yeah.
The 14 is experiment. Okay.
Right.
Excellent. All right. So did we have anything else for today?
I don't think so. Except to decide, I guess, who's going to lead on Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is great. I haven't been in a class where we've had to meet together twice a week. That's new.
Yeah.
That is new. Okay.
Do we want to say that Olivia led today because of all the stuff she did, and on Thursday I can do it if you want.
Okay, I'll practice doing my Google Hangouts and see. I don't know why stuff was weird today, but
and
okay.
For my Gmail, just to clarify, my name's Olivia, that's spelled with an A, not an O. And then the last, then it's just .Burnham, but it's spelled Burnham. So just
okay, I think I have it because I responded to you. So okay.
I think we've got
excellent. And then
figuring out why it didn't work today.
Okay, I'm gonna
figure it out.
Stop.